Hello to everyone, this is Vishal. Again, we are new session of the day that is related to the your Jetpack Compose. And in this series today we discuss about the lazy. Lazy means we have to work with your lazy columns, we have to work with your lazy rows, and how we can represent this kind of collections. So these all we have to work with. Uh, so, and as we discussed before that in many sessions of this series also, like we have worked before on the buttons, we worked before on the simple rows columns, and also we worked with the modifiers in this series and how we can display the taxes, decorations on that. So these all in our series of the Jetpack, and today one more video we have discussed about that lazies. That also be going on, and in other sessions if we go for that we have a wear OS session, we have a, I mean that in the different series we have a Kotlin multiple videos be there, means multiple sessions in which we worked already with the RX Java related to RX Kotlins related to, and we worked already that is related to your uh, rooms, and many more we worked on that. You can uh, check the videos, and on that I really appreciated your comments and whatever be your requirement. So today we'll discuss about that one more requirement that is related to the lazy compose and how we can work in it and what is the basic functionalities of this lazy compose, so they discuss on. And hope all are doing good, and thank you so much for your comments that in a future we'll add more videos related to you whatever be your requirement. So thank you so much again. So today as we know that if many apps we need to display the collections because of like a recycler view as we worked on the old simple Kotlin and Java, so that we work. But in the Jetpack Compose it's very easy, that means we can give the collections using that your lazies. So the what is the lazy means here we can efficiently do this in a Jetpack Compose, means we can work with a simple row and column. So if you apply that lazy rows and columns, that means we can make it them as a use and as a collections be here. So that means if you have a multiple items, so we can add it, means single items or the multiple items depend on whatever be your requirement. So according to that you can work on that lazy rows and the lazy columns, means scrollables. And the difference between the lazy columns and lazy row is that the orientations in which they that means here we have not such a layout on that, so that means we can make it everything so dynamically. So that means if you go with your scrolling list with your lazy columns, so that means we can go for the vertical scrolls. If you go with the lazy row, that we go for the horizontal scrolls. So these all we discuss about that lazy columns and lazy rows in that. And what is the lazy composable? First we discuss this, that is the most important part. So first we check what is the basic functionalities of the lazy. So if you say that if you need to display a large number of items and using a layout such a columns can cause a performance issues. So since all the items will be composed. So first that means in the Jetpack Compose, that means we can do that columns and then row. These are we can create the items on that. The only difference between the layouts, that means if one is the lazy row and the other is lazy columns. So we have a lazy list scope also, so that we'll discuss later, and lazy grid also. But today we discuss about the basics of the lazy columns and lazy row. Just we can say that if we have a row and the columns, that means we can uh, make them or use them as in a uh, multiple item series. So that is the simple lazy composables. So that is a very good scenarios they that means they produces on that the composes like that lazy columns and the lazy rows, that means vertical and then horizontal. The difference is this. And if we go for the single composable or the multiple composable, so these we can use it with the items or the multiple items. So first we discuss about the simple lazy columns, how we can use it, and lazy row, and then we can make a create a list on that functionalities, and then uh, how we can use the data classes and how we can implement. So these basic things we have to learn today. So first we discuss about on the practically session on the how we can implement this. So let's see on the Android Studio. Okay, so first let us start in Android Studio. So here we have a default function. I'm just hide it. I mean comment it, and then used composable. So first we discuss about the single, how we can represent the single or a multiple items on this composable. Okay, so here I'm just using your lazy column example, and here this we have to call here on your uh, preview. So first at a very basic level, I'm just discuss about the lazy column. Okay, so this is your lazy column. I do not go with this content, I will describe you later, but first we have to go for just single curly brackets, and this is your scope. So whenever you go for your lazy scope, that is called your lazy list scope. So under the lazy list, that means you can create a multiple list on that. So here the first thing is that how you can represent it. So I have a item. So whenever you go for your item, so this is your single item, and I am using that simple text, and here we can say that this is your first item. Okay, so this is the representation of a single item. Here this is the scope for the item scope, and this is for the list scope. So here you can use a multiple items, single items, and whatever you want to represent on your list, you can show it in very simple way. And here on this you can call on your greeting preview, and then we can check with the split. Okay, we can go for and build and refresh. We'll see what happened with this simple first item. So this whenever you go for the lazy columns, we can modify it with the modifiers. We can use the contents, we can make a style tag here. That means whatever be your list, we can represent it accordingly. So design we check later, but I'm just talking about the simple functionalities of this and the scopes of this. So first discuss about this. You can see that this is your first item. So sometimes what happen that we have a single item, we have a multiple item list. So what we can do for that, that means for the single item, we can represent the multiple items be here. I will show you. Okay, so for what we have to do, we are just using the simple single item. So if you use a multiple items on that, so what we can do, you just go for your items, and here you have to show that how many items you needed. Okay, so this is multiple items, you can represent it. So I'm using the index for that. That is the most important, because of without that means we have to check that which indexing we are using on that. Means here we have a text and just showing to you this is your item, and then your dollar, and then your index, whatever. Okay, so by this you can represent that in which location your item be placed. So this is your simple item, that is your first item, and then we have a indexing for the two items. So it will show your 0 and the 1. So that means you can increment it with the plus 1 also, but if you go for your 3 values, so what we do, so here that means you can say that here we have a multiple item 0 1, and then it is scroll up to the 3, 0 1 2. Okay, you can see that this. So this is your in sometimes what happened that we have some heading values be here, and then title of that top title we have, and under that I want some other data. So this is your, we can say that list one items. Okay, and I want to show that some other list items also, that is two only. So here you can say that list two items there. So likewise that you can represent your multiple list in your lazy columns. So according to you, in whatever your requirement, you can feed them here. So how we can use it dynamically, that is what's most important. We can separately our header on that. You can see that list one item one and list two item we have a two, only two items we have. So likewise that we have these kind of scenarios, just very simple preview I'm showing to you. So this is called your simple lazy column. Under that we can represent the single item and the multiple items we have. So it depends on you. You can represent the one list or a multiple list. So this is called your list scope. So that means list scope means we can add multiple items, single items, and representation, whatever you need it on that. So now on the next step, how we can more, I mean, we have to do more modifications of that, how we can represent it. Let's see. Okay, so if we go for that again on the lazy column, so we can say that it is one of the core components in the Jetpack Compose that allows you to create a vertical scrolling list of the item efficiently. That is very simple example or say definition. Especially when dealing with the large data set, it is similar to the traditional recycler view. It is similar to the traditional recycler view. That is the most important line. Okay, but with a more concise and composable syntax, so we can use it very easily, and with the means in the easy approaches we can do that. So it means you need to provide a lambda expression that defines the content of the each item. You can use the different methods of that lazy list scopes, and then we can use it. So here we already discussed about the item and items. Okay, so here we have a collections of data and items indexes as I discussed, and I show you here. This is your item indexes, and also we have a single items, that is simple, and sticky header that I will describe you later. Okay, so these all we have to do. We already discussed about the items index and your items. So these three we have covered, and then the sticky header we'll discuss later. So this is a very simple examples, but how we can implement it with their if we go for the mutable collections or like that. So first I will show you the mutable list and we can use it. But dynamically how you put the values on the mutable list, that will describe on the next session. So today I will describe you mutable list. So for that, what to do, you just create a one more function and just write that, use the code, and here I'm just say that this is your private val, and I'm just using the employee list. So here in this employee list, what we have to do, I'm just using the mutable list of, and here I'm not passing any data values. I'm just using the names here. This is your John, this is your Ajay, this is your VJ, and like that many more. So this is a very simple example, and here I am using one more composable, and here this is the composable, and then your function, and then we can use some imply list. So we can use that list lazy. I'm giving the name to that lazy column example. Okay, so this is the simple example. So now how we can implement this imply list here with the lazy columns, I will show you. Let's see. Okay, so what to do? It's so easy. So how we can implement this employee list? You just make a lazy column, and then under that lazy column, I'm not using any content at this time. I'm just using our simple curly bracket. I'm just showing to you how we can implement these things. And here, what to do? You just use items here. So multiple items I need it, and I'm passing this employee list because of we need a count like that as we described already, and under that we have to create an index as we discussed like this. So here index you can give any name to, like I'm giving the name to employee, and this employee exists on for the text, and it showed to you that is your employee. So here I'm just giving the text as an employee. Okay, and then call this here on the preview, we'll see that this examples with the splitting. So it's rendering the preview. We'll wait. So that is a way you can approach in a very simple way. So how we can make it means how we can update it, or how we can create it like that, means like our recycler view. So that is the important way, or that is very easy. We do not go with your multiple, that means view holders like that, recycler view putting dot holders view. So it's very easy, you can just do it in a single way. So you can see that here we have a John, Ajay and the Vijay. So this is the list, and here if we say that item, and this is your text, and here you can say that employee. Okay, so here that means you can just make these two differences, like one is for your header and that's for your employee list. So the same, there is some sticky header that will describe you later, but this is the way. And here you can change your fonts and your change of the font of your header. So that is the way you can do that. This is, you can say this is your employee, this is your header be like that, and you have a list. So you can break them also. Okay. So but at this time I'm talking about the single list items, will describe you later. So these your simple items, you can represent it like this. Okay. So that is the lambda expressions, this is simple text, and this is your items. You can go for that. So how we can make it little bit attractive be like, and how we can use our data classes be here. So I will show you. Let's see. Okay, if we go with some examples of that modifiers and how we can make it the different text colors on this list be like that. So step by steps we're going on that, as we have discussed a simple items, how we can represent it, multiple list, then how we can use it with the mutable list, and then now if we go with any modifier, so that means I'm using the sample modifier list at this time, and you can say that modifier dot mm, fix fill max size, I'm doing that, and then use that background, that is your color dot I'm using at this time light gray, and then I'm using that paddings also. So the paddings I'm giving the 6 point dp. So that's the way you can represent it. Okay, so this is a simple modifier list. So how we can do that, you can just go for your column, lazy columns, and here we have a content, we have a modifier, many things be here. So if we go with that, you say that modifier, and here we have a modifier list. Okay, so for this modifier list, as we call it here, one more thing we discussed, that is the also we need to show that text styles. So I'm going for the text style list. Okay, so you can create the styles for that, as I already described you how we can go for the text styles. Okay, so you can just say that compose UI text styles. There are many, but you can use that compose one, and there we have a font size, and I'm giving the font size as 25 point sp, and then also I want to go for the color, and this color is I'm just giving the color dot red. So we'll see and how we can use it. So you can just go with the text style, and text style, this is your text style list. So here that means you go for your styles also, so it can check that, yeah, this is the text style. Okay, so that's the way you can represent these lazy columns with the split. I will check that. Okay, so before that we tested with the yellow color on the background, but he checked that with the gray color. At this time we are using the color dot light gray, and the text we are using the color dot red. Okay, so we'll see how we can show these two colors be like. Build and refresh it. So that's the way we can do this kind of styles. Also we can use the modifiers also, the many approaches we can use it here. So according to that you can present your list or set that your lazy columns on. So we'll wait it rendering here. So you can see that light shades, and then here we have a text colors be the red. So by that I'm just showing you a simple list of that with the text styles with your modifiers, so you can use this kind of list be here. So now how we can use with the data classes, so that's also very important and interesting thing. So and if you want to go with your images also, so best way you can create a data class and then use the images composable, and then uh, create a kind of inner list as we're doing with the recycler view with the new, I mean, inner list view holder like, so we can represent it with the same way in a single line we can do it on. Okay, so let's start it how we can present it be like. Okay, so here we already discussed about the simple items, multiple items we have done with your modifiers and styles with the list. Now we have to go one more thing, that is called here how we can make simple images with your taxes, and how we can use the data classes. So for that, first what we do, we can create a class for that Kotlin, and I'm using a data class, and data class name I'm using either you can use the employee class or device. Okay, I'm using the device model, that is the class, and here I'm using the val name, and this is your string, and here I'm using the val um, id. Okay, and this id is, we can say that it is a int. Okay, so this is for your drawable images, and this is for your name of that device models. So that is very easy. Now what we have to do, either you can use these modifiers, or I'm using that composable one more time, and that composable, that is called your function, and that function I'm using with the lazy, we can say that not say the row, but example row of for column, lazy column. Okay, so I'm using that, this is the example. So what we have to do, we need it few things here. First we need to call that model. So here I'm calling that model be like, I'm saying that model is device model. Okay, and under that device model we have to call that the row, and that under the row, what the row I do, that means row in which we can, one side we can put the image and the right side we can put the text, just very simple. So for that, what you have to do, you just go for the single row, and I'm just using this, and here I'm using that image. Wait, what it's saying, yeah, say the alt enter composable. Okay, and under that, what we needed, we needed image, and the other thing is we needed text. So these two we needed here. Okay, so that is the simple examples we have to cover. So let's see how we can do these things or achieve these things. Okay, so for this, first I'm using this curlies, and then we'll see what to do. So these to be the important things under the row, and this is our the example for the column. We created a simple device model and call this here. So these are the steps we have to follow. So let's see how we can use this things, do two things be under the row with the modifiers, with the style looks. Okay, so let's see how we can put it in the row. Here we have a image and here we have a text. So first, what we have to do for the image. So for this, we have an image for the painter. Okay, so that is for the paint resource. What we needed, we needed a paint resources, and then here I'm using the model dot id. Okay, so this is called your resource id we are using, and here if you go for the content. Description, I'm using the null here, nothing we have for this image, particular image, and there's a lot of things be there. We have modifiers here, we have alignments here, we have a content scales. So I'm just using the main parts of that, main functionalities on that. So here if you use a content scale, you can say that content scales I'm using the fit. And one more thing that is the important, if you want to go for the modifier, so you can use that, either you can use the upper modifier that is we are using before, or if you want to go for your, so you can say that modifier for that padding. uh, I'm just using the padding sphere at 4.dp. Okay, so that's the way. And if you want to go for the size also, that means image size, so you can go for the size also. Dot, yeah, so I'm using that 100.dp, that is the size. That's the way you can represent your images. So it depends on you which kind of images you. I'm just showing you the example of that. You can uh, check my previous sessions. In this I've already described you the text styles and the images, how you can represent it. So here what we do, I'm just using the text, and text here I'm using the model dot whatever be the name of that our model. So here I'm using the device model, that is the model dot name. And also if you want to go for your style, so you can go for the styles also. So style I'm using that text style list. The same I'm using. If you go for the modifiers, you can use that, and that is also. And if you go with your font, mm, wait, what we can do with this for the style, font weight. So if you go for the font weight, mm, bold, yeah. So here I'm just showing the bold weight. Okay, so that's the way you can represent your values for the row and for the text. And here how we can call that, I'm using this here, we can call it as in a device. So here I'm using the device model, and that device model I'm using the name, I'm using the name that is called here, um, yeah, computer I'm using. Okay, and for this computer, and for that RD, that is for IG, I'm using for the R dot drawable, and drawable dot computer. So for this, what we can do for this ID, we can create a drawable, and the new, that is our one vector images be there, yeah, vector assets be here. And here you can see that the, if any computer image be here, so we can select it and use it here as an icon. Okay, so if you have any other images, you can just put it. Okay, we'll see that is computer. Okay, so this is the computer image, and I'm checking this with the color of red. Okay, and name I'm giving computer. Okay, so this is the way you can create your single row of that. So this is the way we have a split and then call it and generated the things. So once it's done the preview, I will describe you how you can use some more um, values under the row. So that means row functionality is also be there. So if you check my previous sessions in which I already described the row and column, so that is very interesting thing be there. So we'll see, we can build it again, and then wait for this lazy columns. Okay, it rendering the images, so we'll wait for that. So also we'll describe you that how we can use the list with that models like this, means lazy columns, how we can call these things be under the lazy column. This function, this is the basic function we can say that. So this is just like this, you can see that this is, so here you can use the alignments also, center aligned you can do that. So that will, I will describe you that is later. So but this is, you can see that we have a simple image and the text with that. Okay, so what we can go for, we can use some row uh, values be here, that means your functionality be here, and also these complete function we can call it in our lazy columns for the multiple list functionalities. Okay, so this is for the single row, we have used it, that is the simple example of that with the models. And for the multiple, how we can represent, I will show you, just we'll see. Okay, so for under that row, how we can decorate, we just use that vertical, is that there vertical alignment. Okay, so here vertical alignment I am doing with the alignment uh, center vertically. So this is your simple row, and if you want to go for the most, I mean other things, so you can just go for your modifiers also. And if you go for the modifiers, you can give the modifier dot fill max size. Also, if you want to go for the paddings, you can give it. If you want to go for the background, you can give the colors. So it depends on you, which whatever be the requirement, you can work on accordingly. Okay, so that's the way you can represent your rows. We'll see. Well, build and refresh. So now how we can create this multiple means under that single row with the multiple columns, that means in the lazy columns, how we can use it, that is the most important approach. So I will describe you how we can do that. So this is, you can see that it is a center vertical line, it's a fill. And if you want to go for the wrapping, so you can also go with that, means don't go with the fill max size. If you go with that uh, wrap content width or whatever be, so it depends on accordingly what you have to do according to your size and layout dependencies, so a lot of things be there. But I will describe you actually when we create a dynamic list from the, so you can see that this is the central line and just simple with the wrap content which we are using, not fill, I mean completely fill on that. Okay, so let's see how we can do for the next one. So for this, what to do, I'm making the one more function, and under that how I have to call that multiple list on that. Okay, so for just I'm using the private, and well, I'm using the device list, and under that device list I'm making that a mutable. Okay, so if you go for the mutable list, I'm using the model, this is the device model, just very simple, as we have done with that above, without any model, means in our above cases I'm using the employee list but without any model, simple strings I have used, and here I'm using the simple device list with the device models. Okay, so now if you go for the compose and then say that add compose composable, and then say the function and then lazy column with list, I'm just making this function be here. And under that, what to do, the first thing is that I need to add this device list values, so that add, and you can see that this is your device model, and this is your computer one. I'm just saying that I just giving the name. You can give any from the backend, whatever be the it's coming order drawable dot. I'm using the computer. Okay, so this is our first list I'm using. So you can create a multiple on that, so it create a better look. So this is your 2, 3, 4, and also if you want to change the drawables, you can use it accordingly. Okay, so this is a very simple lazy column list, and then once it's all done, what to do, I'm calling this under your that means lazy columns. Okay, so for the lazy columns we can call it, I'm just using the simple without any we can say that uh, any paddings, any vertical layouts, and any arrangement. So for that, what to do, you can just use that, just simple that you can go for the above as in lazy columns. mm, this one. Okay, I'm not using any modifiers for that. So just simply the lazy column, wait for the content at this time, and in this lazy items, so we can use that those items be there. Okay, so here you can see that how we call those items. Here we have used employee list. Okay, so here what we have to use, we have to use device list. Okay, so I'm using the device list. That's very simple, and I'm using that model arrow. This is our indexing, and for the indexing, what have to do, we just call it with that those indexing, and this is your text, but here we don't have a text. What to do, I need a complete model be here. That means I need a complete lazy example lazy column be here. Okay, so that means you have to call that complete function. Under that you have to pass that model. Very simple. That's the way you can work. Okay, and how we can use these things, so I will describe you. So here this lazy columns of the list I have called here, and then use it how we can implement it. Okay, so that's the way you can work. So we'll see, we split, and we can build and refresh and see how it can be looks. So just wait for that. Okay, so you can see that here we have a preview for this multiple computers. We have a computer 1, 2, 3, 4. So by this we can call this function and then pass it the values we here. So simple model you have to pass, and whatever be the dynamic contents coming from the DB site, so you can add it here. So that's the way you can present your recycler view like this. So I will describe you in my coming session the grid, and also with the multiple columns. You can use it with the dynamically from the database. Okay, so here this is the simple device model we already worked, and now how we can do it with the arrangements. Okay, so if you go with your content padding, so yeah, so here we have a padding values, and here I'm just give the padding value be here. Here we can use that horizontal. I'm using the 8 point dp, and comma vertical also I'm using the 8 point dp. So that's the way you can use that. Okay, and comma if you want to work with uh, vertical arrangement, so here you can say that arrangement, and here dot is spaced by yeah, this is a spaced by, and that is spaced by I'm giving the 4 point dp. Okay, so that's the way we can represent it. So You can see that there is we have a gap between these alls. We'll see. So we have a more operations with the lazy columns we can achieve. So we'll describe this when we do the that dynamic content. So here you can see that this is the spaced by you can work on. So they separate out that rows. Okay. So this is the single row, and then we have worked like this. So it's very that's very good pretty example for this. So this is simple lazy columns, how we can call it. So lot of things we have discussed today. So that's already we describe you, and my coming sessions will create our repositories, composable functions, call on the main activities. So these all we have to discuss in the next sessions. Thank you for the day, and then just have to wind up. Thanks a lot.